Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this Villanova basketball press conference. Just to go through a little bit of the format of what we're going to do here, we have with us our university president, Father Peter Donahue, our director of athletics, University Vice President Mark Jackson, and Jay Wright. At this time, we will have statements from Father, Mark, and Jay. We will open it up to questions at that point. We have 2 microphones in the area. We ask that you please raise your hand and state your affiliation before asking your question. We'll get to as many as we can. We may not get to them all today. Coach Wright, Kyle Neptune are both remaining here and will be available for a period after we are finished. And then additionally, when we're done here with Coach Wright in this portion, Coach will step down, Kyle Neptune will come up, and we will take questions for Kyle Neptune. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Father Peter.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning and welcome to the Finneran Pavilion at Villanova University. I'm Father Peter Donahue, and I'm honored to be serving as the Villanova's 32nd president. Today we welcome our new head coach, Kyle Neptune, while also recognizing the enormity of what Jay Wright and his wife Patty have meant to the Villanova community and the world of college basketball. Jay is a Hall of Fame coach, a 2-time national champion, a teacher, a mentor, a husband, a father, and to many in this room, myself included, an amazing friend. For 21 years, he has led our men's basketball program, amassing wins, accolades, awards, and championships as demonstrated by the countless trophies and banners that adore the Finn. And while we could not be more grateful for his role in bringing these achievements to the Villanova community, Jay himself would say that he is the proudest of the hundreds of students, athletes he has been able to coach during his time at Villanova. As we like to say, he did things the right way, guiding, developing, and empowering the student athlete who played for him, not only to be better on the basketball court, but also their personal lives. It's these characteristics that I believe will define Jay's legacy at Villanova University and made Villanova a better university in the process. Big shoes to fill, but I can't think of no one better suited to the challenge than Kyle Neptune, who you will hear from shortly. Finally, before I hand it over to our Vice President and Director of Athletics, Mark Jackson, to share a few words, I would express my gratitude to several people. First, I would like to thank Mark for his leadership throughout the search process to find our new head coach. He has done an incredible job handling Jay's retirement and working to find the right candidate to be Jay's successor. Next, I would like to thank Kyle for agreeing to be the next William Finneran Endowed head coach at Villanova. I expect great things, and I look forward to watching you next season and the seasons to come. I would also like to thank Patty, Taylor, Colin, and Riley for sharing their husband and father with the Villanova community for the past 2 decades. You are an integral part of our community, as much as Jay, and we owe you an enormous amount of gratitude. And finally, to Jay, there are truly no words to enumerate what you mean to Villanova. All I can say is thank you. Thank you for all you have given to this community. You will always live in the heart of Villanova, and 800 Lancaster Avenue will always be your home. Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. Thank you for being such a wonderful ambassador for the university and for representing our Augustinian values in everything you do. You are beloved by this community and by the entire Nova Nation. That's why I'm delighted that Jay has agreed to stay at Villanova in an ambassador role for the university. And now I would like to turn it over to Mark Jackson.
Thank you, Father. Thank you. Staying on a sense of gratitude, thank you all for being here. Thanks for everybody that pulled this event together at a relatively last minute. Thanks for everybody that helped support us through the process. It was a very confidential process. We just had a few people involved. I want to thank our board chair, Justin Gamelik, who's been a trusted confidant and has provided wonderful leadership. Father Rob Hagan, another wonderful leader in our department who has helped guide me on a day-to-day basis through this. Ashwin Puri, our Chief Operating Officer. Katie Fisher, who has led the communications team. We've been in constant contact over a long period of time to end up at this point. And I'm tremendously grateful for your friendship and leadership. But today is about Jay and Patty, and it's almost hard to put in words the immense sense of gratitude I have for what they've meant to me, both professionally and personally. This entire institution has benefited from your leadership. Our brand has grown bigger and stronger. Our reputation has only enhanced. Applications here at the university have skyrocketed. Buildings, the one we're in, have been built. All of our other 23 varsity programs and support services have benefited from your success. And most importantly, for many of us here in the room and all of Nova Nation, it's the countless memories and experiences that we've shared on courts across the country that we'll hold to for the rest of our lives, and it's tough to express how much gratitude we all have for that. And to do it with such dignity, humility, likability, lovability, it truly makes you irreplaceable. On a personal note, I have a tremendous amount of thanks for what you meant to me personally. You've taught me how to navigate Villanova. You've taught me how to navigate Philadelphia. You've taught me how to navigate the Big East Conference. But in a lot of ways, you've taught me how to navigate life and why the little things matter, how to be a cutthroat competitor, but yet at the same time have the dignity and grace to always treat people well. I know I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, I'm a better friend on account of what we experienced together. Like Father Peter, I cannot wait to see what chapter unfolds for you and Patty next. I'm glad that Tricia and I will have a front row seat for it, and we'll be with you every step of the way. So thank you, man.
Thank you, buddy. Good morning, everybody. This is kind of a strange day. Probably the last time I get to say it, kind of a sports press conference. Hoops is in the house. Love to be able to say that like it was after a game. What Patty and I want this to be is the next step in the Villanova basketball history, and the next step in the Villanova basketball program. The greatest thing for us has always been just to be the coach at Villanova. That's accolades or winning games. It's not as big as just being the coach at Villanova. So we've been a part of a great tradition, and we've been blessed to be the head of that tradition for 21 years. And we've always said, we don't own this. It's just we just got to be in charge for 21 years. We're very proud of what we did, but most important, it's about going forward. And what we're most proud of is, you look at these guys down here, that these guys are ready to take this program forward. And what we wanted to do is make sure that when this program moves forward, we do it from a position of strength. And that's what's so exciting about today, is we have the best president in college athletics to work with. We have the best athletic director in college athletics. We have the best chairman of the board, Justin Gamelik, who helped us put this together. And we have the best staff in college basketball, and this is what was important to us, was putting this together going forward with led by George Halkovich, Mike Nardi, Dwayne Anderson, Joe Flannery, Matt Frischella, keeping all of our GAs, keeping all of that together, and then having one of our own, a guy that's been with us 10 years in Kyle Neptune, be able to take over is what our dream was, to leave it better than we found it. And the leadership that we have on this team next year, this is going to be a really good team. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure when we passed it on, the program was in great shape. The players were in great shape. We've got outstanding recruits coming in. We're keeping this together, and that's what it's all about. And we're going to be a part of it. And I thank Father and Justin and Mark for allowing us to remain a part of this and just take on a new role with Villanova University and supporting this mission, supporting the Augustinians, and watching this basketball program grow as, you know, as just supporters and kind of mentors to the guys that are here. So it has been an amazing run with incredible players. We had our banquet last night. We were able to celebrate. We're really able to celebrate this great basketball family that we have, and it's going to continue to grow under Kyle's leadership, under these players' leadership, and our coaches, and we're going to be along for the ride. And as Father said, Mark said, once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. Patty and I will be a part of this community forever.
Go down. Dan Galston, the Associated Press. Jay, I guess the obvious question is...
Hey, Dan, before you ask a question, I can also apologize to everybody for not answering your text and phone calls. So rather than do it to each one of you when you ask a question, I love you all. I know you have to do your job, and you did such a good job. You made us speed up this process because you found out about this before we wanted to. So great job, all of you, doing your job. I apologize to everybody. Now we can... Go ahead, Danny.
Apology accepted, Jay. We're in a house of forgiveness. The first question is why, and how long have you wanted to do this? Was there a certain moment, a defining moment that came to you? Did you know before the season? Like what led to this?
I've been thinking about it for a few years. You just think about it, but during this season, it started to hit me that it was just the right time. I just kind of looked at where my coaching was, everybody being in place, our staff, the team. As I said, we wanted to leave this in a better place than we found it, and we wanted it to be strong, in a great position when we left. So I started to feel just like I didn't have the edge that I've always had, where the edge always came natural to me, and so I started evaluating it. Sometimes, I would never have to think about anything I did. I would just go into a meeting, go into a team meeting, go into a practice, had everything set. So I started thinking like, better get yourself fired up here. You better, let's go. And I said, these players, we always ask our players, you're either 100% in or you're against us. And I always thought, Father and Mark, Justin Gamella, part of this process was them convincing me not to do this, trying to convince me not to do this, and they're great. It's salesmen and intelligent people. One of the times they said, well, 70% of you is as good as anybody else, which I appreciated, but we could never coach that way. We couldn't ask the players, you got to give 100%, and I'm giving 70%. So I just knew it was the right time, and I told Mark at the end of the regular season, poor Mark had to live with it. I said, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to do this, and so we went through a period where he tried to talk me out of it, but I knew, Patty and I knew then it was going to have to be this year.
Dana O'Neill at The Athletic.
I'll apologize to you too, because you blew my phone up more than anybody, but that's going to be my last apology to you guys, all of you.
I'll forgive you too, maybe once. To that, you decided at the end of the regular season, you just said, so kind of you can walk through the timeline and how emotionally difficult, how do you balance your emotional and your heart with what you think is the right thing to do? If you can just kind of walk us through all of that.
Yeah, when Patty and I talked about it, and we really knew, like, it's time to do this, we felt a responsibility to tell Mark and Father Peter, because we knew, all right, if we're going to do this, you can't just drop this on them at the end of the season, because they got a lot of work to do, and we knew that we wanted to keep our staff intact. You know, as I might not have been on the top of my game this year as a head coach, but the staff was, and the leadership of this team was. That's what, it was so amazing. It was amazing for Patty and I, and even Mark kind of knew I might not have been on the top of my game, and we're watching these guys and what they did. It was incredible. So I had to tell Mark, because he had to start to prepare. We had to tell Father, and then we went through a period where we said, okay, let's wait till the end of the season and we'll deal with this. And then we kept winning and winning and winning, and it just kept going longer and longer. And then we knew, you know, Patty and I kept saying, like, we're putting these guys in a tough spot. We're putting the players in a tough spot, because we're not going to be able to deal with this until later. So we really wanted it to work so that we could keep our staff intact and keep all the players intact. So that's where Justin Gamelik and Mark and Father, they were working really hard as soon as they realized they weren't going to talk us out of it, and to put everything together. And to be where we are today with Kyle, our staff intact, all these players intact, the leadership, our recruits, is really what Patty and my dream was, to be at this spot right now. We're thrilled about that.
Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Inquirer. First of all, sorry for last night. I was just trying to get to my seat. I wasn't trying to make a move on you.
No, you were good. You were good.
How great a factor, if at all, in your decision were the changes that are coming to college sports and college basketball, the NIL, the transfer portal, all the things that, you know, would have presented some challenges to keeping the excellence of the program going?
Not a lot, Mike, but a little bit part of it. It wasn't. I think those changes, and I think you and I have talked about it, I think those changes are eventually going to be really good for college basketball. We talked with our team about, I'm so impressed with how we handled NIL as a team. So some of our guys made some really good money, and they had 3.8 GPAs, and they went to a Final Four. So it didn't affect what our goal here is at Villanova, for these guys to grow to be the best men, the best students, the best players they can be. So it was our first experience where we really saw that these guys made good money, and they were great students and great men, and they played great. So I'm excited about that going forward. But there is a side of it where I'm saying, like, I watch Kyle and George Halkovich and Mike Nardi and Dwayne Anderson. Like, they're at another level than me when it comes to that stuff. They're really visionary about it, where I feel like I'm the coach that's trying to, like, keep up with it. And that's why that impacted us, where we thought, like, that this is a good time, because these guys are really good at this. And that's where I think the impact was for us.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer, retired. Thanks for following me into retirement. I'm very flattered.
You're a visionary, Joe.
I know a lot of things have been happening in the last month or so, but have you had a chance to actually sit back and relax and just consider what you've achieved here?
Joe, not at all. We're working so hard. As I said, we've always told our assistant coaches, great endings lead to great beginnings. You know, every time assistant coach would leave here to go on to be a head coach, we would say to them, make sure you finish the job here. Take care of Villanova first. Wherever you're going, you're going to be there for years, but make sure you leave Villanova where you complete your work. You take care of everybody here. So we've been working so hard, and again, Justin Gamelik, Father Peter, Mark, myself, Patty, we've been working so hard to make sure, and we still are, that the players are taken care of, the assistants are all taken care of, the recruits, we're still finishing that up right now, which is it's going well. That and you know, Patty and I will say to each other, like, we just got to finish this. We got to make sure that everything is in place. And so we're like in a firestorm right now. It's kind of like a recruiting period. It's really intense. But as soon as we make sure everything's in place here, I think that will be a nice time to sit down on a beach sometime and look back on this.
Terry Tui from the Delaware County Times.
Hey, Terry.
Hi, Jay. Now you guys have me thinking about pulling a pin and going into retirement. But anyway, you know, you're an intense guy. What are you going to miss most about coaching?
Again, you know, to Joe's question, I really have been focused on completing this. But I know I'm gonna miss the games. I know I'm gonna miss the competitive. I know I'm gonna miss the practice. Kind of what I'm excited about, and I've talked to some of the guys about this, is I love the relationship with the players, and I've kind of felt like in the last few years my energy level has been committed to basketball and recruiting and NIL and not as much the relationship with the players. So if they'll still talk to me, I really look forward to like going to breakfast with these guys, going to lunch with these guys, and not have to yell at Eric Dixon about being in a stance. Can actually talk to him about life and let Kyle yell at him about that. I really look forward to that part of the relationship with the guys. You know, I used to watch Coach Massimino come around and, you know, tap the guys on the shoulder and be all nice, and these guys tell me, oh, I love Coach Massimino. And I'd be like, that is not the guy I work for. He's not that nice of a guy. So I hope they don't do that to me, but I do look forward to those relationships with the guys.
Colin Beasley, the Villanova. And Jay, how have you been able to go through postseason play without letting off that this was your last year, able to go on like in the same way that you always have?
You know, it was a struggle, and that's why I really, you know, my friendship and trust in Mark is incredible, because only me, Patty, and Mark knew at a time, and we were, I remember we got to enjoy every part of it, because Patty and I would say to each other, like, this is going to be the last time in the Big East tournament. Like, going to Madison Square Garden, and it was awesome. And when we won, like, Mark and Patty and I looked at each other like, holy shit, like, do you believe this? And it was, so we really got to enjoy it, but there was some crazy times. Like, I remember Dana asked me at the press conference, you know, what do you think Mike Krzyzewski's thinking about? You know, this is his last game, and I'm thinking, I know exactly what he's thinking about. But I didn't want to say anything. So there were some weird times like that, and we came out of that press conference. No, I didn't lie. I just said, I know what he's thinking. I'm sure he's thinking this, but I didn't say I was thinking it. You know, that Mark and Patty and I would come out of that press conference and just be like, oh my God, like, this is wild. So it was a wild run, but that's why I say it was so incredible what our assistants did and our players to get through that. 'Cause I don't know if I was on the top of my game, but they were.
Jay, Michael Bradley from Mainline Today.
Hey, Mike.
Was there a point when Kyle was an assistant where you said, this guy's going to be a head coach and this guy's going to be a good head coach?
Yeah, there always comes to a point with our assistants, and that's what is so good about this timing right now. And that's an interesting question, Mike, because we're always trying to develop our assistants to be head coaches, and we're always, and Mark and I talk about it, you know, all the time with the guys. Like, there comes a point when you know a guy's ready, and that's why this is such a good time right now, because George is ready to be a head coach. Dwayne is ready to be a head coach. Mike is ready. These guys have been around for a long time, and that is the time you want to make the move, not when you got a young staff. And we knew with Kyle and I that, you know, Kyle's got head coaching experience, you know, and we knew it was going to be one of our guys. And I think the year before, Kyle was here one more year. The year before he left, I kind I kind of saw like that, all right, he's ready to go. And then he stayed one more year and then got the Fordham job.
Coach, Alicia Roberts, CBS 3 News. When did you finally tell your players, and what did you say to them?
That was the toughest part. I kept, once I told Mark, Father Peter, and Justin, and they had to start the process, I kept saying to them, like, speed this up, because I can't look at these guys every day. I got to tell them, you got to speed this up. And they had to make sure all the assistants they had to go through a process, and I was probably really a pain in their butt, because I kept telling them, I can't look at these guys every day. I've got to tell them. So we really wanted to get through the banquet last night so we could celebrate the team, which we did a great job of last night. And I thank everybody for not talking about us, and it was about our team and our players. And then we wanted to try to tell them right after that. But Dana and all these guys were just good at their job, and they got out. And so we had to tell them the night before the banquet. And one of the things we had to do was try to explain to them, like, we had to go through a process, and we wanted to tell you when everything was in place, when we knew who the head coach was, we knew all the assistants are saying. We didn't want to say to you, I'm retired and we don't know what's going to happen next, and your lives are up in the air. Because that's really what this is all about. This affects the players, this affects the recruits. It's their lives. They get one time to get through this. So that's why we were working so hard to get this done as quickly as possible. And they've been great. They've been really understanding, and they love Villanova, and we're blessed to have the guys we do.
Marcus Espinoza with Fox 29 News. Obviously, recruits want to come here and play with Coach Wright. That's a big part of it. So with recruits not having that opportunity going forward here, how do you navigate that? Because that was obviously a big draw to come to this university.
Well, I think, we did some good things here, and I feel good about what we did, but I think one of the things that we did was when we came in here, it was a long time ago, so it wasn't anybody's fault, but the program was kind of like whoever the head coach was, that's what the program was, But in the time we've been here, and this is where Mark, Father Peter, Justin Gamella, Joe Topper, the chair before him, changed this. This is a completely different program now. Now Kyle comes in, everything is in place. When we got here, Vince Nicastro and I, we were like, we were trying to piece everything together. All right, new coach, now everything's different. We got to keeping this staff in check, keeping these players, the leadership of these players, Kyle being a part of this culture. This culture remains the same. Everything. This is one of the best programs in college basketball. We've got everything here. We've got the leadership. Everything's in place. So now it's going to be, they're going to come to play for Kyle, but also this culture is going to stay the same. They're going to be a part of this culture.
We have time for a couple more here.
To follow up on Colin's question about kind of keeping it secret, so you lose your last game. What was that moment, that night, those hours like? I mean, you know what's going on. Patty knows, but nobody else does. How did you get through that?
We always tell our players, don't tell people about your problems, because 80% of the people don't care, and the other 20% are happy you have them. So nobody really cares. This is our job, and we get paid well for this, but it was brutal. I mean, the night we finally told the team, I was telling Mark, I can't sleep at night. We got to get this done. Like I'm walking in every day. I'm looking at these guys, and I have to tell them. I even had individual meetings with all of them, and we talk about their futures. And I said to every one of them, we got to talk about your future. Like, I got to think about my future too. Because at some point we're going to have to change this, and we're going to bring in one of our young guys, and you guys are going to run this. You're going to carry this. So I said that to each one of them, because I had to tell them, like, I'm thinking, I don't know if they knew what I was saying, but I had to tell them. So that was the hardest thing. It was really difficult. And, Father Peter, Mark, and Justin had to do it too, but our greater goal, our greater good was we want to keep this in place for these players. We want to have the staff here for them. We want to be able to tell them, I'm retiring. This is what the program's going to be going forward. You can make your decisions. We didn't want to put 18 and 22-year-olds, I'm retiring, I don't know who your coach is going to be, I don't know if the assistants go, that would have been really difficult. So that's what kept us going, that we got to get this done quickly, and we got to keep this quiet until we can give these young people answers.
Megan Morhart with the Villanovan. You talked about what it was like just really getting to soak everything up, knowing it was your last time, but Colin and Jermaine were also going through it at the same time. What was it like knowing you were getting to finish out your career alongside them?
Yeah, that was awesome. And we really were excited that we didn't distract from what they did. That was the other, as I said, we're going through this, we kind of know, and we're like, it would have been easier on us, like just tell everybody, get it off your chest. But Colin, that Final Four was about Colin and Justin and these guys and what they did. And that was what kept us going. We're like, you know what, this is about these guys, this is awesome. And they deserve it. And same thing with last night, our banquet. It was really cool that the whole Nova Nation was there to support them. And and it's always tough for Father Peter and Mark not to say nice things about me and Patty, and we had to, they did, but we said, like, let's keep it. Father stayed on script for the first time ever, because we said to him, please don't make this about us, we make this about these players, and we did a great job. And if you could have seen our seniors speak last night, were you there last night? They were amazing, right? And that's what Villanova basketball is all about.
Jay, over here, Jay.
The king.
Yeah, there you go.
The king's in the house with hoops.
60 years old as a young man. So when you were thinking about this, did you think about what are you and Patty, because basketball is it's your life. What are you going to do the rest of what should be a long life? How much did that come into play?
Howard, we definitely thought about that, but what overcame that thinking was, this is so important to us. Let's first take care of these players, these coaches, this program. Let's make sure let's put all our focus onto that. And if we do a good job of that, good endings lead to good beginnings. If we do a good job of that, we're going to be in a good place to make good decisions going forward. I honestly don't have a plan. I honestly don't. But we, except for continuing to be involved here and letting Kyle run this, but working more with Father and Mark on the university mission and things like that, and being a part of this community. Other than that, I really don't have a plan yet, but I know I'll see you at a game. We'll sit down and talk about it. No, the hardest thing was, and these guys have the responsibility. They're running a major university. Like, all right, you tell us you're leaving. We got to do a search. We got to do a national. It's my job. Justin Gamelik, our chairman, is like, I got to do I love you, but I got to do my job here. We got to take care of Villanova University, and I got to look this and Father. So our focus was, no, we got to keep this together. Like, this staff is what makes this program. These players are what makes this program. So, and they, once we explained it to them, they were like, you're right, and let's go forward. So we were so focused on keeping this thing together. We're not great planners. We're going to have to figure this out.
Right now, we're going to make our transition. Coach, if you could step off, he's not leaving. He'll be around. And we're going to bring up Kyle Neptune, and I'm going to turn it back over to Mark Jackson.
Excited to welcome Kyle Neptune and his family here to the Finneran Pavilion. It's good to reconnect and to see you here back. What a wonderful family. For me, in this process, you had a sense for it. It's a unique process. It was a quick process, but had nuances, right? It was really kept tight in protection of our current program and team. But I think when since I've been here, it's always in the back of your mind, you have to be thinking about what's next with, essentially your greatest asset in Jay Wright. You always have to have that succession plan in mind. A lot like all of you, I didn't think it would happen this quickly, but here we are, and we were put in a position where we had to move relatively quickly with a small group of people to figure this out. And when I started to reflect about some of the priorities, you heard it from Jay: continuity, keeping this staff intact, understanding what it means to be at Villanova, what is the Villanova way. That's hard to understand unless you've been here. So put a lot of thought around that. And for me, my first year here in 2015, I was by myself. My family was all in California. And fortunately for me, I guess, I was able to immerse myself in the basketball program. In that year, I traveled to every game. I went to every practice. I started to build relationships with Jay and the assistant coaches, and maybe, unfortunately for Kyle, he was a victim of a lot of dumb questions as we sat on plane rides and bus rides and dinners and breakfasts, and it was the start, though, of a wonderful friendship and relationship that I cherish. Along with all of the assistant coaches, they're all special people, all that have been here and all that are currently here. But what stood out to me over that time that we got to know each other, as I watched Kyle present firsthand on scouting reports, I would watch Kyle take over practices, I would watch Kyle make in-game decisions, along with Jay. I'd watch him recruit. I'd watch him work within our community and have a rapport with the different coaches and staff members and people like Father Peter and his team. This is over the course of 6 years. I saw this come to fruition. So most importantly, I saw his ability to again, be a good person, treat people well, and to build relationships in a really, really positive way everywhere he went. It was clear to me when we had the discussion about Fordham that Kyle was ready to be a head coach, and I think in a short period of time he proved that at Fordham. Had to hire 9 people, had to essentially sign 10 players to a team, and had an unprecedented run of winning that Fordham hasn't seen there in a long time. So all those things combined, I know we have a really good basketball coach. I know we have a coach that can compete at the highest levels. The beauty of Kyle, when it comes back to our number one priority, when Jay and Father Peter and Justin talked about the one where we kept coming back to, was continuity. And how do we protect the standards that we built here? Our graduation rates, the work we do in the service, the way we treat one another, the way we play together, the way we play with humility and class and unselfishness, the way we defend, the way we rebound. He knows it all. He has the answers to the test. And he, in a different way, style, and manner than Jay Wright, none of us are naive to think that anybody's going to come in here and sit in that chair and be Jay Wright. He's irreplaceable. However, we do have a leader that understands what's important to our entire community. And on top of that, he's a wonderfully competitive basketball coach that already in 2 days has made an impact. So I'm really, really excited to welcome Kyle and his family back to Villanova. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Mark. I'll get a little closer here. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. First, I wanted to thank the Fordham community for really accepting me, and especially Ed Cole and Father McShane and a couple members of the board, Darlene Jordan and Dal Almeida and Daryl. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for giving me a chance. And moving on here to Villanova, Mark and Father Peter, really, really appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity here. It's obviously a dream come true for me. Really appreciate your confidence in me. Won't let you guys down. I'm gonna do everything in my power to do that for sure. I know Coach probably is sprinted out of here. Oh, there he goes. But Coach, I think I could speak for the entire Villanova community when I say, wow, with your career and what you've done for all of us, from the players, but also all the coaches who've come through your programs, both programs throughout the years. What you do as a person far exceeds what you've done as a coach, which is amazing. Just mentoring all of us and being a great example of who to be as a person. That has meant so much to me throughout the years. And besides my family and my mom and dad right here, like you're probably the biggest influence in my life. So thank you very much. And then just moving on with the players and the coaches we have here, like we all have a extreme monumental task. Not just with Coach leaving, but we got Colin and Jermaine, who are huge pieces to what we've done over here for the last couple of years, and watching all you guys grow from afar has been unbelievable. Just the run that Villanova went on this year, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be your coach. One of the things that Coach Wright always says, everybody's status. Everybody's role is different, but everyone's status is the same. And my role now is just a standard bearer for Villanova basketball, and I think my job now is to just make sure that we keep this culture together, make sure we hold this high standard of what coaches created here, and I'm ready to do it. I can't wait to get going.
Dan Gelston, the Associated Press. Kyle, I guess.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, good to see you again. What was this process like for you? When did you find out you were a candidate? How'd they come to you? And how long did this process take from the first phone call or whatever it was to this week?
Well, honestly, it was extremely quick. Last week, I was, just practice planning, planning and recruiting. Of course, I think I talked to Mark throughout the year just because we're great friends. So I heard that, Coach, this may happen, but, honestly, coaches, talked about this a couple times throughout the years. So I really didn't think anything of it. But when I got the call from Mark, a couple days ago that they wanted to sit down, I was, shocked, like everybody else was, and but I'm really glad to be here now. So it was a pretty short process.
Dana O'Neill at The Athletic. Mark, if I can ask you about that. You said it was a search, so was it a one-man search? Were there other candidates that we didn't know about, or did you know exactly where you were going?
No, yeah, we opened it up. We considered a number of candidates, but at every turn, Dana, it kept pointing back to Kyle. Kyle was the guy we wanted to talk to.
Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Inquirer. For Kyle, have you given thought, and do you have an idea of what it will take to kind of separate what was inherently Jay and leave and be yourself versus the things that he did implement that are now part of the program, right? Like you can get caught up in trying to be him. How do you find that balance between being yourself but keeping the things that made the program successful that you can keep?
That's interesting. I think I went through that this past season at Fordham. When you take over a job, you talk to a bunch of different people, and they're like, you got to be yourself, do things a different way. And honestly, by the end of the year, I found myself, saying a lot of the same things that Coach talked about, and we ran our program very similarly, and it's me. Like I don't. I was under Coach for a good amount of my life. Like it's just what Villanova stands for is just kind of embedded me as a person. Forget a coach. So I would imagine that a lot of things will be very similar. Again, you hit the nail on the head. Like I'm not Jay Wright. I can't be exactly like him, but there will be a lot of very similar things.
Hey, Kyle, Terry Toohey from the Delaware County Times. Have you had a chance to meet with the players, and how did that conversation go?
I think it went pretty well. I'm sure you guys will probably ask them after. But I think pretty well. I think one thing is that, I just wanted to make sure that they knew that, I was just as shocked as everyone else. Just kind of making sure I understood that. I know these guys pretty well. And I know I've been gone for a year now, so it's just a matter of building up our relationships again. And trying to propel this program and get it right where it's been.
Kyle, Josh Verlin, City of Basketball Love. Good to see you. You have 3 recruits signed for next year. I was just curious if you've talked to any of those 3 yet, and what your involvement was in recruiting them before you left for Fordham, and if that's helped sort of bridge the gap.
Yeah, I've talked to all of them. I think we've had great conversations, and we'll continue to talk over the next couple of days.
Kyle, Eugene Rapay, VU Hoops over here. Hey. What were some of the biggest things that you learned at Fordham as a head coach, just making that transition from being an assistant that you think will help you moving forward?
Most of what I learned is that, Coach is right so many times when I, doubted them and pushed them to do different things. Like I saw so many things that I couldn't see as an assistant coach. So I'm really thankful for that year I spent, because it really opened my eyes. There's nothing you can do in my estimation to prepare yourself to be a head coach other than to go through it.
Colin Beasley with the Villanovan. As a Villanova assistant, did you ever think that one day you would be the head coach, and did you ever think it would happen this quickly?
I think that I definitely dreamed of being the head coach. Did I think it would happen this quickly? Absolutely not.
Kyle, Michael Bradley from Mainline Today. Was it hard to leave Fordham? I mean, you were only there for a year, but you were building something. How hard was it for you to leave there?
It was extremely hard. We built really good relationships there, especially with the leadership of the university, but also the players and the coaches. I really believe that we're, like you said, we're building something really special. This is my hometown, New York City, but, this has been a dream of mine, and coming back here and being a part of this program, this is an opportunity I could not pass up.
Austin Petalillo, Trend the Philly Hoops. Kyle, first off, congratulations. Second of all, you were an assistant on staff for a long time, and a lot of the current assistants, you were on staff with them as well. Is it important to keep that continuity there? Is kind of your wingman on staff?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll have some final conversation over the next couple of days, but we anticipate on keeping the entire staff intact. Like you mentioned it, I grew up with some of these guys, known them for years and years, shared offices, we're all family, so we're extremely tight-knit crew.
Kyle, Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer. Villanova is the flagship school in the Big East. Everybody's shooting for them every game, every year, and they've had a lot of success. What are your views on that, being in the Big East, coaching a team that everybody takes their best shot at?
I don't think we really look at it like that as a program. We're more concentrated on what we're doing and making sure we're holding the standards to what we hold important. And if we're doing that in the end, that's what we'll be proud of.
Kyle, you talked about sharing offices with these guys. You're going to walk in. Jay's office is now your office. Have you wrapped your head around what that's going to feel like?
No, I have not. To be honest, I honestly haven't. I'm just trying to unpack it as we go. No, I haven't.
Looks like that's it for questions, so we're going to break around. As we said, Coach Wright and Kyle will both remain with us. We have some things for them to do, but they'll be around for a little bit. We thank you for attending today. Thanks again.